Welcome to the trap. Welcome to the trap.
Welcome to the trap. Welcome to the trap. Welcome to the trap. Welcome to the trap.
Let's go. Zen.
Trap.
Zen.
Trap.
Zen.
Trap.
Zen.
Trap.
Protect.
Yo, peace.
Protect your energy. Welcome back for another ZTP Zen Trap Perspective. I'm one of your two hosts, Zen P.
Yogi LG.
The mission here at the Zen Trap Podcast is to inspire and empower people to continuously seek internal peace to maximize their personal potential. We got an exciting, life-changing episode for y'all today.
For sure.
Yogi LG, why don't you tell them what we're reviewing?
All right, so typically we cover, videos or books that we, read or watch and found. This is kind of like a series that we found on HBO Max. Found one of my favorites, Brené Brown. It's called Atlas of the Heart, and it is a powerful tool where she talks about language. And because the topic of the month is communication, we felt like this was right in line with what we wanted to talk about. So P, give me your general overall overview of what you learned in its 5 episodes. They all like 45 minutes each.
5 episodes. This is the first season. It's going to be another season. I'm thinking it might be like 3. But my overall
on the series.
This is a series about how to put verbiage to your emotions. It defines words and terms that are for your feelings that in some studies, I guess in the psychology community, could have some, not necessarily controversy around it, but debate on what the actual definition means. This kind of puts us in the same playing field so that we're using the same terminology, working from the same playbook.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. I think overall, what I found is that it's kind of like, hey, in order to connect with someone and have human connection, you kind of have to understand what they're feeling and understand what they're going through. And you also have to understand what you're feeling and what you're going through. So let's just make sure we have meaning to the feelings that we have, right? And like making sure we're not just calling it sad. I think it starts with a study that she said, like, they did a huge study and people, like all these people came up with like 3 emotions. It was like happy, sad, hurt, or something like that. Happy, sad, mad, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just amazing that that's pretty much the most common 3. There's so many more emotions that we need language to. So
I want to take this back a little bit. When we had an episode before, this is kind of what I was talking about that should be taught in school. I still feel.
oof.
I feel this is language. Part of language. I think there should be a class on emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence just being how to put verbiage to what you may or may not feel. Now, just because you know the definition of the word don't mean you'll ever feel it in life and you may have your own definition, clearly, because it's almost like philosophy where you could almost put your own term or slang to it. And then, of course, words have different meanings. But in general, this is what I would like to see inside of either a PE or just a separate type of class in general. Words on your emotions so that you can at least know how to say what you're feeling.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I think in certain, I think it would be a good thing for everybody to have this kind of verbiage. When you growing up, I can imagine being like 10. I can remember not knowing how to describe what I'm feeling. I just like am so overwhelmed with feeling. I just cry. What's wrong? I literally do not know.
But think if your parents don't either.
Yep. Think if they don't know either. They can't even help you talk you through kind of what you're feeling and what you're going through. So, did you learn something unique? Like, what was I learned so many things, and I'm sure you did. So, what are the standouts for you? What's something that you learned that was like, oh, I've never heard that?
It's so many things that I learned that I never heard. I can start with the first one. I'll start with a happy one, I guess. And one that can kind of start off with the depth at which we went. Schadenfreude?
Yeah.
Is that the term? Did I say it correct?
Fraud.
No, it starts with an S, so I know.
Yeah, Schadenfreude. Yeah. That's like Go ahead. You want to describe it?
Yeah, for sure. Schadenfreude. Shameful joy. Yeah. So I put duality just beside it because it's almost taking pleasures in others' discomfort, to be specific though. Mm-hmm. So Schadenfreude is not just being happy because you made it out of some terrible situation or you were able to achieve something, you also are happy because this other person specifically is swimming in discomfort. Now, you may be feeling like this person deserves it or something. Maybe they had it coming to them, karma, whatever you want to call it. This person, you just don't like them, but you taking joy in them feeling discomfort or their emotional discomfort. That is schadenfreude.
All right.
Never heard that word before in my life.
Yeah, I think it's
Ever.
like a German term or something.
German term.
Yeah.
Uh, love, if we could go back to just talking about what the series is and why I thought it was so helpful for me. She uses movies as examples too.
Yeah.
Lots of art pieces. It makes it more of a conversation, not just a lecture. So those are like the best teachers to me, make things a conversation. But using the movie clips, I love movie clips. I told you when I was younger, that's how I learned a lot, was from TV and things. So using movie clips to show emotions and kind of explain those definitions as well definitely helped me out. What's a term or something new you learned in there?
Something new I learned was that she was talking to this dude about the grass always looks green on the other side. And he was like, oh, it actually is. And I was like, uh-oh, please teach me something. But they talked about how grass grows and basically standing in your own yard versus viewing somebody else's yard. Literally, the grass will look greener because of the angle that you have, right? Never knew that. But also the term applies in so many ways. But that's
Yeah,
just
it's
something
something
I
about
learned.
how the sun hits it
Yeah.
too, so the other side of the grass is not.
That's a random fact pickup that has nothing to do with that's like surface level compared to the depth that he went. But
Nah. I mean, something
absolutely,
new you learned.
just it was just something I was like, man, that's the concept. And then to use that and apply it on a more deeper level, that I have to recognize that things over there may literally look better.
That's social media. That's all life.
That's all
Like
of
that's
that. All
all.
those influences may look better, and the reality is, our grass may be the exact same color, or my grass may even look better from over there. It just depends. Like it, just you will never know.
I can remember for social media telling all my friends all the time, or when somebody comes up to me and just be like, "Paris, you be having a ball. You be doing this." I'm not negating that I don't be do or do not be having a ball. I'm just saying don't make that declaration just off of social media because I can personally, and I know a lot of people can too, make anything look fun for 15 seconds.
Come on now.
15 seconds, I can be going crazy. I can make it could be
We've
nobody,
done it.
nobody in a party, just like people, promoters holding the line, film some like crazy little corner section, make it look like it's going crazy in there. Ain't nobody in there. Ain't nothing happening.
Nothing.
Sad.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's get to I think both of our favorite section. What's your favorite bar? I know we got a bunch that we can go through. Favorite bar section, or even favorite emotion that you felt like it was good to just talk about.
One of the favorite bars I had was a term she used for what I preach about all the time is them Debbie Downers. Candle blower outers.
Yep.
That ain't nothing but a Debbie Downer is how she defined it. So I learned a long time ago. I used to not really enjoy words. I felt having a limited vocabulary could be enough to get you places in life, and I still do for a certain sense. I just feel like we learned a lot of things. What's the word I'm trying to say? We learn terminology for a lot of stuff that we somewhat already know. It's almost learning the word that defines what you've actually been doing. So the same applies with emotions.
Yeah.
You've been doing a lot of these things your entire life, but you've never really been able to put like a word to it. So me calling something Debbie Downer, her calling a candle blower outer, I felt like a lot of terms and stuff where that's what kind of learning is, figuring out that term to put it on. So she describes candle blower outer as you go to a friend, they're excited to tell you some news, and in some way, it's multiple ways you can blow out their candle. You are taking their news and then not celebrating with them. You are blowing out,
dimming
their light, blowing out their spark,
their candle,
stealing their joy. What about you?
All right, so my favorite section was
favorite bar.
Oh, favorite bar. All right, cool. We're wired to compare, be like everyone else, but better. So she was talking about how we shouldn't compare, but it's almost like we're hardwired to compare. So it's gonna happen. What are you gonna choose to do with it, right? So I thought that was just a bar in general. There's so many bars in here, though, for sure.
We could go through every episode, and this could be an hour long, 2 hour long of just talking about what we
For
learned
sure.
from 5 episodes. I did like in the beginning how she introduced it that we're going to have to tackle this together. It's very similar to Nedra Tawwab's book Boundaries on saying learning these things and exploring your feelings is going to be a bumpy, uncomfortable ride full of
Yes.
conflict and emotions. So getting to a place of discomfort should not be an unknown thing. You should not be surprised when you are feeling uncomfortable. So I really like that she started with that, and then again just kind of went straight into it, bing, 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 on the words that we're going to describe with examples and stuff.
So another bar that I just want to throw out there was another definition for boundary, and it was like the distance to where I can love you and myself simultaneously.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really good too.
And I wrote that one down too, and I just wanted to be sure it don't it don't truly matter, but that wasn't a Brené Brown bar.
It
That
was not.
was
It was not a Brené Brown
do you
bar.
have her name?
I do not. I
I
don't know. I
I
don't have her
definitely
name.
wrote her name down just because I was going to.
Black woman. She was real cool. Looked real
Yeah,
swaggy on the
I
video.
wanted to make sure I gave her a shout out for that definition
Yeah, that
for
was good.
sure. I think her name started with a P. I definitely need to Prentice Hemphill. Being able to love and still keep our integrity intact.
Yep.
And then the last thing you said, comparison, being the thief of joy. Um, that was a big section for me too as well. The biggest
Yeah.
part I like or thing that I learned new was being able. Again, you need to watch it.
You absolutely need to watch it.
We I used to I say this to you like, or I used to, and I'm probably not no more just from learning this because I feel that this is a better way, not a correct or wrong way, a better way for me. There isn't a long stretch between differences of people
That
and
was good.
different levels and
Yes.
things. Whether you're standing above somebody or below
Yeah.
somebody, you're not putting yourself on the same level as them.
Yep.
Charlie Gaines, when we interviewed him, said it. His definition of empathy or compassion was being able to see himself in everyone.
Absolutely.
That resonated with me. So
Yeah.
comparing yourself to see yourself as that person versus comparing yourself to see yourself as better or worse than that person are two vastly different things.
But what she was saying was, which I thought was powerful, that I'm better than everyone, and then everyone is better than me, are standing right next to each other.
Those are not different. So you thinking
They
you have
wildly
this
different. They
pool of
not.
people that you are so much better than is not no different than you thinking some other people are way ahead of you and better. Those are two are in the same playing field, same arena. You still are placing judgment on people and thinking that your
Comparing. Yeah.
circumstance is so much better.
Yeah.
Love that. That can go to almost so many different episodes of
Yeah.
stuff that we've seen. The Lisa Nichols of you don't get to put me on a pedestal because that takes you off the hook for
Yeah.
what you need to do for yourself.
Because it makes you feel. You don't get to make me seem extraordinary.
To dim your own light.
Yeah. To make yourself feel ordinary.
Put yourself on the same playing field.
Yeah.
Real
Absolutely.
good.
All right. I'm gonna just throw another question out here. What was your favorite emotion that she talked about?
Well, I think this goes to my favorite section. This kind of builds all into
Okay.
it anyway.
Let's go.
And I like what we're talking about here anyway because it'll go into what our topic is going to be next month, which is awareness. I think all of these are going hand in hand, and that's just God's time.
Come on now.
My favorite emotion was the last episode, and before we go into talking about that, that was my favorite section, favorite emotion. I want to apologize to you after watching it. I can say from watching that episode, when I say I've been struggling with empathy, I've never really found a book or show or anything that could really describe to me what I'm struggling with and how somebody may receive it.
Mm-hmm.
So from that episode with the examples and the definitions and stuff, I can say I've probably done 90%, or I could see how I've done 90% of that stuff and you could perceive it that way.
Empathy
I know
episode was crazy.
intentions is really what matters, or intentions matter. So of course it wasn't my intent, but I just want to apologize if you ever even thought that I was a near enemy or a far enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not my intention. Definitely And like I said, I go into the section now. That section is all about empathy, compassion,
Yeah.
and defining what a far enemy and a near enemy is to
Yeah.
those terms. So again, just wanted to
I got you. I got you. Intentions matter. So I
that
understand.
that that was my favorite section just because that's my biggest area I think I could learn from.
Yeah.
I've learned even the way she talked about it. Empathy is a skill,
It's a learned skill. Something you
and
practice.
I can see how that's controversial. And taking that skill, being careful to make sure that learning the skill set of empathy still has the feel to it, even though I can't control that feel. Either way, I guess I'm rambling here. I just want to make sure that was my favorite section, and I'm gonna have to watch it multiple times. But that was my biggest growth area, and there are plenty of lessons and ways that you can learn. I like how she even said there's no real right thing you can say, because where I struggle the most is me specifically with empathy. Is I'm also naturally a very sarcastic person as well.
Mm-hmm.
So when you put, if everybody thinks that 90% or 95% of everything I'm about to say or do is jokey or is playful, when I'm trying to be serious, even coming out with those emotions on the empathy side, you could say, "Oh yeah, you don't really mean that," or "You ain't." And it's tough for me personally to try and get out of that, where it's like, "No, I do. I don't know how to say it in a way to show you that I do. I don't like you are perceiving it sarcastically and rightfully so because I do some sarcastic things, but this is real. So something is better than nothing, but definitely have tools for how I can make sure that I don't take the skill set and still use it as a way to control the narrative, control the outcome. So it doesn't come across as feeling that I'm trying to get you to come through this so that you can accomplish some other underlying goal that I have.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about you? What was your favorite section?
My favorite section was probably one. I just like envy versus jealousy and clarifying what that is and those differences. So I really enjoyed that section. Just how technically jealousy is being jealous of like a relationship that someone else has with someone, and you're jealous of that relationship. That is kind of jealousy. Versus envy is kind of like, oh, somebody else is going on a trip. I want to be on that trip. Oh, I envy you, but envy just sounds so harsh. So we almost use them in reverse. And so I thought that was a really good section. So that was probably one of my top sections. I have watched this multiple times, guys. So I am very familiar with most of these emotions. But I also really enjoyed the reverence section, just because that's something that I struggle with. Um, Reverence with family, with religion, like it's several
What's
layers to that.
reverence?
Reverence is, let me see if I got the definition. I'll say what the definition that I wrote down, or the bar I wrote down from that area, is reverence feels like performative admiration. And that was a very tough phrase for me, because sometimes reverence is, it does feel performative, especially when you talk about like, for like elders or people you don't know, that your parents like, oh, I want this person, I want you to meet this person, you need to do something for them, they, they did, and you got to do this reverence of like this person that you don't really know or don't really care about. So that was probably a really really good section for me, talking about that.
Yeah, and I wrote down for what I wrote down for reverence, similar to what you said, is complicated respect. So traditions and stuff that have been upheld, and you have someone else trying to tell you what is deemed as respectful and not
Yes.
respectful for your whole. Our family doesn't do this, so
Yeah.
you are a part of our family, so you shall not do this. You won't
Yep.
embarrass me.
That kind of stuff.
Mm.
That's just a tough one, because it's almost like going against your morals and values, and you teeter that line of like, where is reverence? Like, how do I give reverence to what I feel is deserving to reverence versus just giving reverence to things I've known in the past that I'm supposed to give reverence to. That's when it feels like performative for me. All right, cool. Let's see. Let's something you would share with your loved ones about this. Like, hey, you need to watch this. This is so good because of what?
Uh, it's so many. I think I would just recommend they watch it in general from what I said earlier, just to get the verbiage down. It's so many different areas. So you watching it, I can't tell you what you're gonna get from it because of what you got going on in your life. it's gonna be some word or feeling in there that is gonna
Apply.
resonate with you. So
Yeah.
I would just tell my loved ones to watch it. If I'm speaking from where I'm from and the people I know, I think a big one for me would definitely be either the reverence or nostalgia versus memory. A big section in there about
Yeah.
what nostalgia is versus actual memory. A lot of time with nostalgia, we like to reminisce on only the good things, and
Mhm.
we don't remember the struggle
The
things that
negative
also
nostalgia.
happen.
Yeah.
We make it, and in some instances, we make stuff up for nostalgia just because to make us feel good. So sometimes it's even a little bit delusional. So going in between kind of fact and feelings when you're going through nostalgia and memory about old times and things that, yes, they may have served you to get out of that time, or it was good for your. It might not have even been good for you. And by good for you, does that help you get to the desired outcomes that you have in your life? Does that help your health? Does that help you connect more with people? Those things, whatever you define as good for you is. So I would really recommend just watching it and find what speaks to you in there and focusing on that. What you desire to improve on? What about you? What would you tell your loved
Um,
ones?
I think the compassion and empathy episode in general is just one I would recommend to almost everybody.
I'm
Just
glad they did
because
that one last.
it was so good because it talked about how you connect with people through compassion and empathy, and that's such a big part of how you connect with people. And so I think I would recommend that to my loved ones, my friends, just because we kind of, your family is people that you didn't really get to pick, but we still want to connect with them in a very meaningful way. So for me, learning compassion, practicing it as a daily practice, as they call it, and the skill set of empathy is just super, super imperative for relationships in general. So I think that would be the number one thing that I would say. You if you could get a tidbit from this, is going to watch episode 5 of Atlas of the Heart. It is a it's
Especially if you
powerful.
feel like you're one of those people who struggle with feeling things, or
Mhm.
I've definitely been that person to say I'm probably not the person you want to talk to when you're having emotions all over the place, because I struggle with empathy. After watching this episode, I think I definitely see ways that I can improve in empathy and be there for someone. I love the example she gave, which I feel like I do now, but I definitely have better ways to do it, on asking what kind of support do you need.
Mhm.
I love to be able to flip it back around on the other person to say, hey, how would you like me to support you
What does
in this?
support look
What
like?
does support look like for
Yeah,
you
exactly.
right now? Does it
Yeah.
look like me just listening, you venting about it? Does it look like us talking about something completely else to get your
Yeah.
mind off the day? Does it look like us talking about that and doing something else, a mix of both? Putting it back on the other person puts it back on them to have a level of awareness to know what they need in this moment. So if they
Yeah.
don't know what they need, guess what?
How I'm gonna
The
help you?
back to the drawing board for them on, you need self-awareness to even be in this kind of connection game, to constantly know that how you are right now may change in the future, but I'm asking you right now. So you don't even really need to think about that. What do
Yeah.
you need right
Right now.
now?
Yeah.
And to know that you need a level of awareness.
You do
And
absolutely.
that can help bring you to know, like, oh, maybe I do need a level of awareness, because I can't even tell this person how they can help me right now.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Do you feel like you saw something in this book that you like? Oh yeah, I'm a change from this. Like I know you said it was life changing in the beginning. I know
Yeah.
empathy and compassion. I knew when I saw it, when I watched it the first time, I was like, oh, this is a good one for Paris. Just because I know that's what you struggle with, and you don't mind being open about that. So, is there anything else that you feel like you grabbed and was like, man, I'm gonna grow in this area just from watching this and seeing this?
It's other areas for sure. I now am a fan of vocabulary. I've done the flip that I thought, as you say, when you're younger. Oh, I ain't gonna never act like them when I'm older. I ain't gonna never do that. I
For
still ain't
sure.
reading the newspaper though, or watching the news, but
Yeah,
we'll
I'm
see.
not
Give me
watching
till
the
60,
news.
maybe. Yeah, you say it now.
Watching
Say it
news
now.
at 60.
I still don't think I will either. But
I can jump in if you
please
want.
jump
Yeah,
in.
yeah, absolutely. All right, cool. So, one thing I felt like I've learned, and I think it's gonna change me and shift me, is when she first kind of starts talking about this, she intros you into what we're about to do, right? And she starts talking about emotions having ingredients, and the first ingredients in that is actually what you feel. And so, what you're actually feeling is the first ingredient to emotion. The second is the language for those emotions. what you're gonna call it per se. And so I thought that was really powerful, recognizing that like I can feel something, but another part of me feeling that is what I'm going to label it as, right? And so another section that I think really got me or was good for me was talking about being overwhelmed versus stressed. And I'm experiencing a lot of that in my current life, right? Like, am I overwhelmed right now or am I just stressed? And she used the analogy about when she was a waitress, how she was like, I would have a lot of tables and I would go to somebody and say I'm in the weeds. And that just means, hey, can you grab water for them? Grab the dinners for this, and this table, and then I'll kind of be caught up. I just need some help. Versus going to her, coworker and saying, hey, I'm blown. I need a minute. So blown is being totally different. I need to go outside, take a cigarette break, smoke, whatever, chill. I need 15 minutes to do nothing because I'm just overwhelmed. That is kind of the difference between being stressed and overwhelmed. And that just gave me so much verbiage for how I feel. Because I don't want to say I'm overwhelmed when I'm really not. And I don't want to say I'm stressed when I'm really not. If I'm overwhelmed, I need to be able to articulate that because that is the second part of me actually having a full emotion is what I labeled that. So I thought that was super, super good. That it definitely shifted me in a way.
All right, so question.
Yeah.
How would you personally handle if you have a friend who is overwhelmed a lot on a
Mm-hmm.
consistent basis? And it could be or a coworker. Like you
Mm-hmm.
said, you come coworker, or I guess how I'm trying to word the question, do you feel like a friend or a coworker, and I guess those are two very different scenarios, can not cry wolf, that's not the word I'm looking for, but use the I'm blown
Too often.
too often? Do you feel like
Yeah. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
how would you handle that though?
I mean, she another thing that in the Atlas of the Heart she talks about is when people use this language, we don't believe them.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of it is believing that someone is using the correct language. So in that example, if I had a friend that I felt like was constantly overwhelmed or a coworker, I'm like, hey, are you really overwhelmed to where you like need to take some time? Or are you just stressed and you need some help? If they clarify that they're overwhelmed and that's their situation all the time, to me, you need a support system. So you have to problem solve at that point. I can't be that problem solving for you, but I'm going to draw it to your attention like, hey, you're constantly overwhelmed. You might need to talk to somebody, or you need to get a support system around you to kind of get you to a place where you may have a lot of things on your plate, but you can manage a little bit better. You can't live your life overwhelmed. Like you're going to need a break all day. Like which it kind of leaks into like depression and things of that sort when you literally can't function because you need time all the time because you feel so overwhelmed. You got to talk to somebody. That's my opinion.
No, I feel it.
Yeah.
So something else that I learned, I agree, piggybacking off that,
Mm-hmm.
is believe in people what they say,
Yeah.
which I have struggled with to this point, but no, and I need to start believing people. Believing people for your emotional state. I'm not above you. I'm not below you. I'm right beside you. I believe you. What do you need in this situation? Of course, that applies to my friends and family. Not me believing you, but me give you a certain level of support is for the people in my circle. Because again, another part that she talked about, which again I feel ties all of this stuff together, you need boundaries for all of this stuff too.
Woo.
You have to have boundaries in
Yeah.
order to be able to
To give
have
empathy and compassion.
empathy,
Yeah.
compassion, not necessarily have awareness, but yeah, kind of to
Yeah.
have awareness too.
Yeah.
Um, Learned about the near enemy and far
Please,
enemies.
please go into that for me. I would love to hear your interpretation of that.
So near enemy and far enemy to me is almost a levels to synonyms, almost is what I would say. Synonyms or analogies. And anybody who don't know what synonym is, it's words that have similar meanings.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep.
I be struggling sometimes. So um, the way she explained near enemy and far enemy is what is, again, it's almost similar to using the word synonym. What is a close enemy,
Mm-hmm.
or, and again, I don't want to use the word enemy. What is a close, and now I'm about to use synonym, villain, or what is a close person to watch out for in the emotional intelligence space that could be portraying this other feeling, but it's so similar to that feeling that it actually could be this on the villain side. It could be not a supportive person. It could be a enemy who is masking those feelings. And if that is that person's intention of doing that, then they are showing this feeling versus that feeling. That's how you kind of would segregate and differentiate between those two feelings.
So I'll give a couple of examples of what he's talking about. A near enemy of connection is control. A near enemy of compassion is pity. A near enemy of empathy is sympathy. So,
And even with those things she just said, I can show you compassion while pitying you.
yep,
Is saying that, and
it's so close too.
That's me looking from above down on you. You telling me I have an issue, and I'm looking at you like, oh my god,
poor you.
that sucks that you have that going on, because I would never in my life experience that.
Yeah.
It must be hard down there at the bottom.
It's lonely at the top.
It's lonely in the slums, ain't it? Or the other two you said, control. That was a big one.
That was a good bar.
That was a good underlying one for me, for my ego and all things.
Yeah.
Because you get real close. A form of control is manipulation. Mm-hmm. Can manipulation be good?
I think no. I think no.
Okay.
I'm not saying I haven't used it.
I'm asking. Yeah. I guess I'm asking questions because I'm thinking out loud. When coaches are giving speeches and stuff to their team, is that a form of manipulation? When I'm trying to rile my team up to focus or do things?
Nah, I don't think so.
Okay, what's that then?
Motivation.
That's motivation.
Like trying to give motivation. Mm-hmm. To me, that's motivational speaking in some way. It's encouragement. It's empowerment. I wouldn't call it manipulation.
Motivation is not a form of manipulation.
Are you asking?
Yeah, I'm asking. Oh, okay. I'm having a conversation. Yeah, I'm asking a question.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. I mean, you can. Yeah, you can be a motivational speaker who manipulates people. Yes. But to me, coaches, that specific example, that's just like saying preachers. Are they manipulating people to give money or come to church? Or no, I think they're trying to empower them and motivate them through the words that they're using. Do some preachers manipulate people? Yes.
Yeah. I'm not talking about people that actually manipulate people. I'm saying, like, can you motivate someone and manipulate them? Like, if I motivate you to,
yes. You can do both. You can, just like you can be showing compassion and show pity. You can motivate me and manipulate me. To me, the manipulation in that sense is more like your intentions, right? So when you start looking at my intentions is to get you to do something that I want you to do, but I'm going to give you this motivational speech as though it's to empower you, and really it's because I think you should do this, and I want you to do this.
Okay.
So I think it can be both. I think that form of manipulation is control.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's what you started with. I get you. I think ultimately, like, when she kind of started talking about like the manipulation and or the control, she was just even saying, like, and this was powerful to me, advice giving can be controlling.
Like, that's where I'm hitting at. Yeah. If advice giving, or again, me trying to motivate you to even do what I say you say you want to do. I'm trying to motivate you on what you say for me to hold you accountable. Does that fall in the same playground? I don't know.
I'm not going to call it manipulation, but I will say that it can be controlling.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So again, those are things that I've learned. I definitely will rewatch it. I'm sure as I keep moving through different phases of my life, different words will stand out and mean more to me. What's something you feel like that I could grow from?
I think we already kind of discussed it, just the empathy and compassion. I knew it would resonate with you in general, just because I know you struggle there, and our dynamic as well. So I think that section, and I knew once you watched it, you would get what you needed from it, so I had no doubt. But that would probably be my section that I would be like, yeah, I think parents could benefit from that. How about you?
I think you've done the same thing. When I saw the reverence section, I knew you would really feel something in that area. And also, I think, again, we've already talked about this. the boundaries
Mm.
area.
Yeah.
The the boundaries area is so important because it's such at the root of things.
Mhm.
So not only the boundaries, but for some reason, and I could only you can tell me how you feel if this is accurate. I feel like the resentment area too is something that
Mm.
would have spoken a lot to you.
Mhm.
And when I say resentment, if I'm being specific about it, inside of the boundary area, I feel there may be moments and different dynamics where you may resent yourself for not doing something differently, like
Yeah.
speaking up for your boundary or explaining
Mm-hmm.
your boundary different or whatever it may
Yeah.
be, again, around the boundary area.
Well,
So I felt,
I definitely got a bar there that I wanted to get off, and I'm glad we got to resentment finally. But resentment is like there's a knife to your throat, but you're holding it. It's part of envy. Like resentment actually comes from somebody. I think she thought it came from like rage or mad resentment, but it's actually in the family of envy because you are envying that someone else gets to do what you wish you could be doing. So like when a lot of wives I think struggle with the emotion of resentment. Like my husband gets to come home and sit on the couch and not do anything, and the kids are driving me nuts. It's almost envy, and you're resenting your husband or your spouse for that. And really, it's the envy of I wish I could come home and sit and do nothing, and the kids wouldn't drive me crazy. So it was powerful. Like that. That was powerful for me in a lot of ways. Anytime I do feel resentment or uncomfortable, I think about that now. Like you really just want that for yourself. So how can you get that for yourself and not be mad for that person? No shot. What is it called? Schadenfreude.
no shot in fraud zone.
Right. No Schadenfreude zone. Right. I'm not gonna be trying to.
I was honestly going to find a sign and buy it and try and put it up here somewhere. No shot in fraud zone.
Yeah.
But I'm a duality kind of person. I like a little shot in fraud. I can't front. Right
Yeah.
now I do. I can't front.
Yeah.
And maybe again, it might not be shot in fraud that I like. Nah, it's probably shot in fraud. Cause I'm thinking Charlemagne says it all the time. And I don't necessarily enjoy this, but I enjoy aspects, something similar to this type. He enjoys going to comedy clubs to see comedians bomb.
Yeah. That's Schadenfreude.
Yeah, no,
hundred
that's shot in
percent.
fraud for sure.
100%.
Now, don't
Wow.
get me wrong. I can still see the funny in that. It's funny to see some people bomb. That is funny. I don't disagree in that. Now, what the word is
Yeah.
for laughing at the not that that person feels embarrassment, but just the I don't know the situation itself. It's a funny
It's
piece in
awkward.
there. The awkwardness of it.
Yeah. I get you.
Not that you
Not
gonna
you
feel
feeling.
bad. Not that
Yeah.
you oh my god that you're hurt. No, not laughing at that. It's almost laughing if somebody trips, somebody falling. Yes, them hitting the ground and maybe if they broke their leg or something. None of that is funny. Them falling. Sometimes that stuff is hilarious.
How you
How
fall,
you
man?
fail and stuff, all of this.
Rolling. Hey, that's a little funny.
So I understand the intersectionality,
There
the
you go.
duality of
Come
those
on,
things. Don't let me
intersectionality.
get some big words on me now.
Ultimately, I think this was just a video series full of information. I recommend probably everybody I come in contact with two Brené Brown things: Atlas of the Heart and the Power of Vulnerability. Those two videos are just they were life changing for me. This series was life changing as well. So those would be my last words. You got any last words, man?
It's tough because you naturally know some people are gonna watch those videos and use those words for manipulation, for
Yeah.
control, for power. Um, and it's nothing you can do about it if people have those intentions, if they want to take things like this 48 laws of power and use it to get themselves to a place.
Used it for evil.
You can't.
Nothing you can
There's
do.
nothing you can do about it, but
Yeah.
equip yourself to be prepared to recognize it when it's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned a lot, and I'm glad we keep going. I'm glad with the flow and order that we're going right now, because like I said, I think this is going to bleed into our next topic of awareness.
Absolutely.
I definitely will even reference this episode with how Yogi LG broke down. Once you learn what those terminologies are, she put a label on the name of what she's feeling. Now, in those moments when she's saying, I feel resentment, you can figure out what do I want to do now that I'm aware of it. I cannot be, my brain can't go back to not being aware of it. Now I have that moment to make a decision.
What's your
Do I
choice?
want to do something differently?
Yep.
What's your choice? How can I grow? What can I do? That's what all awareness is going to be. How can you figure that out for yourself? So, beautiful series, and it's full alignment with what we got going on over here.
Absolutely.
If I had any other last words, make sure you subscribe. If you aren't subscribed, we announced it last time. We're going to keep announcing it until it drops. And even when it drops, we're going to talk about it.
Come on now.
We having a midlife crisis. We having our first one.
So our first midlife crisis.
We having our first midlife crisis.
It's early midlife, but it's
very
midlife.
Early midlife crisis.
For
You'll be able to hear it. We call it a mixtape.
But it is a midlife crisis recorded. Zen Trappers, not rappers, coming soon. Can't wait.
Real soon.
All right. This has been another ZTP Zen Trap Perspective. I'm one of your two hosts, Yogi LG.
Zen P. If you can't do nothing else, make sure you protect your peace.
Protect your energy.
It's the Zen Trap.
We out.
Go to the website, buy some merch, man.
Hey,
ZenTrappers.com. Welcome to the trap.